few years back, I watched a Family Guy episode called Chris Awakens. I tried to tell it to some of my friends, but they said they never heard of it. And when I tried to check for the episode, it never appeared. And I'll tell you all about it. It starts with the Family Guy intro as normal, then the episode begins. Chris was in his room, lying in his bed, thinking about all the gory and horrible stuff he's seen throughout the show. It led him to thinking the world was horrible, as he lays in his bed thinking all about it. Brian slowly opens up the door and asks Chris if he's okay. Chris doesn't respond, and Brian gets concerned and asks about Chris to Lois. Lois also gets concerned too and goes in and asks Chris if he's alright. And again, Chris doesn't respond at all. He just kept thinking about all the terrible stuff he saw. Brian and Lois are confused. I'm guessing it's because Chris has gained conscience and Brian and Lois hasn't yet. We go inside Chris's brain and it's all the gory and horrible stuff Chris has seen. And on the background is playing this music, which is also playing in this video's background. And then we go back to Brian and Lois are having a discussion if Chris is depressed or not. And then they send him into a therapy so he can go back to normal and go back to how he was. Then it cuts to Chris in therapy. Therapist asks him, so why do you feel like this? Then Chris opens up and talks about all the gory stuff he saw in his life and questions himself, is it worth it living in a world like this? Then the therapist is in shock. He can't believe that Chris went through all that kind of stuff. And he's kind of teared up. The therapist tries hard to help him and he asks his parents about it. But the parents said, isn't that just normal? We do that stuff all the time. It's so funny. The therapist has lost his way. He can't believe a family like this was a thing. And he can't believe the parents thought it was normal. And even funny. The therapist tries hard to help him, but Chris only has one thing to do, and it's to awaken his parents about it. It cuts into the living room, and Chris tells the other Griffins all the gory stuff they all went together in such great detail, and the family realizes it too. They gain conscious from it, and then they all go crazy and saying, throwing up, and realizing all the stuff they did was actually like that. Peter had the worst reaction out of all of them. He couldn't believe he did all that stuff. The episode had like time skip, like a few weeks later, and all the characters went to normal and they all went to therapy and they're doing the stuff they love. But Peter, however, is in a mental hospital in a straitjacket inside a right room, and he went full on insane and lost all hope. Then it was just Peter going back and forth in a straitjacket, whispering to himself, "Why did I do this? Why did I do this? Why did I do this?" This was until we get another clip and it looked like Peter hung himself. There was no sound, no background, it was just a black screen. Nothing at all except for a fallen chair, a rope in the air and Peter's lifeless body just swinging around on that rope. The image of Peter hanging himself fades away. And that same audio from Chris's mind comes back and it had text that says, when death is not a factor, what is left for us to do? And that text had disappeared and the entire screen was full of question marks and then it cuts to an end. That episode was one of the most confusing and the most scariest episodes I ever saw out of Family Guy. It did not make me laugh, it just made me scared and confused. And after that day when I saw it, I never saw that episode again. When I tried to search for it, I couldn't see it anywhere. But I knew it was an actual episode I saw. I just saw it on TV. Like 9-ish years ago. But it couldn't seem to be anywhere. I couldn't see it on TV. I couldn't see it on a DVD. I couldn't see it on a VHS. I couldn't see it on anything. I searched it for on YouTube too. And look, nothing anywhere. I couldn't see the episode anywhere. And when I tried to ask anyone about it, they said, I never heard of that episode. I don't think that even exists. You can call me crazy however you like, but as long as I know, I definitely saw that episode. I definitely saw it with my own eyes. The end. I would like to thank Benny JW for the idea of this creepypasta.